Delighted, as I announced earlier on social media, to be with Gurcharan Das. Gurcharan Das needs absolutely no introduction, nor does his wonderful library where we are. Thank you very much, Mr. Das, for being with us. Mr. Das, as I was telling him right now before we began this live, has been a bit of a mentor throughout my writing career, and I'm delighted to present my new book on Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, on which Mr. Das was very kind to give a cover blurb to Mr. Gurcharan Das. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. It looks lovely.
I hope you like it, and thank you very much for being one of the first people who read it. We are here, of course, with Gurcharan Das to discuss something that has engaged him all his life, India's public policy. And we're going to discuss that, of course, in the context of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. As we were beginning to talk about, sir, Sardar Patel obviously had a very different take to India and its problems than many others.
You know, Andre Malraux gave a wonderful quote. He said that India was born under the shadows of Hitler, Stalin, and Mao by saints. Now, that's a wonderful way to think about it. But it is also dangerous to put saints or dreamers in power.
Yes.
So it's a cautionary tale, and it's not fair to us to do these sort of hindsight reflections, counterfactuals. But I think if Patel had been the first Prime Minister, he was not so well,
yes,
we know that, but he would have been for 3 years.
Yes.
But for 3 years, I think he would have brought a greater pragmatism and a concern with implementation. The failures of India are not so much the failures of ideology. I mean, Nehru's socialism did not have to reduce itself to licensed Raj.
Absolutely.
It was, so if it's the nuts and bolts of it. And my sense about Patel is that he was pragmatic, but he also realized that the devil was in the details,
Sure,
in the implementation. So that I think would have been just the right balance. Now, it's a little unfair right now because this present government is trying to polarize and trying to pit Nehru versus Patel. And in fact, they were colleagues. They had a good relationship. I mean,
and grave disputes too.
yes, I mean, they disagree, obviously.
I mean, within months of the government coming to power, the independent India, both men want to resign because they're fighting so much.
Right.
But, as I say in the book, it's a complicated relationship. It cannot be reduced to binaries.
Yeah. But certainly the fact that India is an integrated whole, that after partition there were no further partitions,
That's right.
unlike Pakistan. That and there's a interesting story that Ram Guha tells in his book, which is about the takeover of Hyderabad. That there was a cabinet meeting held in Delhi just the night before the Hyderabad action, and they invited the Commander-in-Chief, Boucher, to come and express his views, and Boucher was vehemently opposed. He said, we've got one flank open in Kashmir. We can't start a second one in Hyderabad, and we're having a hard time there. And Patel and everybody listened to him. And then everybody went quiet because Boucher said that, I will resign if you go ahead with this. And at that point, Nehru grew funk and didn't know what, he looked at everybody, didn't know what to say. And Patel very quietly said, we thank you for your services, we thank you for your opinion. You will be treated very well.
Courteously, yes.
But the Hyderabad action starts, as we agreed, at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning.
That's right. And it was a Bengali general who led it.
And that was the end of the story. But that kind of illustrates the decisive Patel and aditerate Nehru. But you know, Nehru also was great in his own way.
Sure.
And we needed a visionary as well. But as I said again, you know, the fact is, it is dangerous to put dreamers in power. And Nehru really did not, Nehru's weak spot was the administrative capability. And not that Patel had enormous background, I mean, in terms of running things, but he had an instinct for that.
And that probably came right from the Bardoli Satyagraha, as which you know.
Yeah.
He's the one who rolled out, as we
Yeah.
would say today, that
Yeah.
entire movement, because he was the son of a peasant from Gujarat, he knew the lay of the land, and rolled out that very successful Satyagraha movement. The other thing that, you know, and probably today is a good day to talk to you about this, if you draw a straight line in pushing the boundaries of economic freedom in India, in a sense, it seems to me that it passes from Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, who was also, people forget, the main fundraiser for the Congress Party throughout the national movement, right through to Rajiv Gandhi, P.V. Narasimha Rao, and Atal Bihari Vajpayee.
Right.
Each of them pushing the boundaries.
Right. Well, you know, I mean, it's clear to me that 1947,
Yeah.
we thought we got our freedom,
Yes.
but we really got our political freedom.
Sure.
Because by the mid-50s, we had lost our economic freedom.
That's right.
And we really regained that, as you said, beginning with Rajiv Gandhi and then the 91
That's
reforms.
right.
So it is very clear, and sometimes, you know, I ask myself, when I see how the Asian tigers came up,
Yes.
how Japan, Korea, Taiwan, of course the smaller ones, but then China, and even Southeast Asian countries, that how, I mean, that's a big lot of people.
Yes.
And the model that they followed, and how did they create kind of prosperity where today India's per capita income is $2,000 and the per capita income of Korea has crossed 30,000. Japan is at $55,000. I mean, it's not just dollars here. We're talking about those countries have wiped out poverty completely.
There's an interesting, and this connects exactly to what Patel said in his speech. As you know, there was a lot of conflict between these two flanks of within the Congress Party at that time. There were the socialists, you know, the younger sort of lot, and of course there was Rajendra Prasad and Gandhi and Patel and all these people. And in one lecture or one speech, he says that, you know, you younger lot keeps saying we want revolution, but what revolution do you really want? Because the revolution we really need is a revolution of what we would today call productivity. Because he says we must work hard, we must streamline things, we must produce.
Right. I think the four biggest mistakes that Nehru's government made, and I'm not sure if, you know, it's counterfactual about Patel.
Of course.
But one was export pessimism.
Yes.
Immediately after the war, the world went through an amazing period of prosperity based on exports.
Sure.
And India adopted self-sufficiency. It closed its borders, and this is against the reality that between the wars, Indian industry had shown the ability, the industrial ability. And we had become the fourth largest exporters of textiles.
True.
You know, soon after Kasturbai Lalbhai was a factor in global textiles. And in this, so I mean, one of the first industries we killed was the textile industry.
And our neighbors took advantage of that, very interesting.
Right. And so the fact is, the second mistake was to strangle industry with the kind of red tape that the world has never seen. At least no free country has seen that kind of red tape. So and we can talk about other things, but I think that the distrust that Nehru had for the capability of Indian
Industrialists.
industry and his lack of, his contempt perhaps for the merchant
Yes.
caste, the Banya, the Vaishya.
Where do you think that comes from? Because this is a key difference between Nehru and Patel. Because even after Gandhiji's death, there are these instances, and even before that, where the Nehruvian lot, so to speak, even at that time, is accusing Patel of being too close to Indian industrialists, especially to G.D. Birla. Right. But Patel says, these are people who have supported the national movement for decades.
Right.
How can I not go to my friend's house today? This is about him going to G.D. Birla's house. Right. Where do you think this mismatch comes from?
Well, the easy answer, of course, is the fact that you had a dose of Brahminism. Nehru was a Brahmin, combined with an upper class English education of Harrow, Cambridge, which also had contempt
for the shopkeeper, so to speak.
For the shopkeeper.
Yes.
That the entrance for the trader was on the side of
That's
the house,
right.
never from the front.
Yeah.
And so a double whammy of this upper class contempt and the upper caste contempt for the Vaishya could be responsible. But it's easy to make generalizations.
Of course.
And history is much too grey.
That's right.
For that. But this is the sort of easy answer
to the problem. Let me end with a couple of questions. When you look at Sardar Patel's last years, when Kashmir is happening, and when so many things are going wrong for India in a sense, right? When the Kashmir issue was taken, of course, you remember, to the United Nations Security Council against Patel's wishes and so on and so forth. When you look at that period of Indian history, why do you think people who had, like Nehru, Patel and Gandhi, who had worked so closely for so many decades, very quickly after independence seem to be following extremely friction-laden different paths?
Right.
Why do you think that is true?
Well, Patel's great achievement was to integrate India.
Yes.
And his other concern was that Nehru was injecting morality into international affairs. Right. In fact, this is what Kissinger said. I took my sort of elementary course in international relations when I was an undergraduate at Harvard. And Kissinger was the professor. And he used to point to me sitting in the classroom when he wanted to tell that this is not how to conduct foreign policy. He said Nehru is injecting a dangerous quality because nations are supposed to further their self-interest. And he was worried that when all nations do that, then you have predictability of foreign policy. He was worried. He was asking the question again and again, why is Nehru fighting the cause of China? And 62 war. This was soon before the 62 war.
Yes.
And this is where he done.
Fair enough. Thank you very much for spending time with us and talking to us. And I'm delighted to give you a copy of The Man Who Saved India. Thank you for all the wisdom that you've given us over all these many years. And I hope you enjoy the book. And thank you for being one of the first people to have read the book. And thanks for your time once again.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.